We now move into a game that should be as clear as day, Jake. Fury take on Knock Knock, and I mean, I just couldn't imagine a world in which Knock Knock can get close, not even to overtime.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Fury are building strong. They've had some solid results over their last 3 games. They 7-0'd Elevate, 7-1 Daystar, and had a very good contest against Direwolves a week ago on Chalet, and that was actually with their coach, if you remember, Mad Dark Ranger or Vaughn. So they actually beat Direwolves even with a coach. So I think even further emphasizing the form they've continued to build. Knock Knock, to their own credit, as the stage has gotten more and more desperate. You know, they got a couple of rounds off bleed, then they took Direwolves really almost a distance last night when they got to a 4-4 scoreline and just fell short of the final hurdle. So, yeah, ultimately, is this the kind of game Fury should be winning? Absolutely. But could Knock Knock get 3-4 rounds? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that there is certainly a pass mark in this game, guys, and it's just to, at the very least, be getting rounds on the board and looking competitive. I don't know how realistic it is to look competitive against a team like Fury. As Jake's been mentioning, you know, they're coming into their kind of final form as we get closer and closer to playoffs, which is, I guess, a terrifying prospect for those watching. But, I mean, is there a world in which you could see Knock Knock bringing this close? Do you think we could see like a 7-5?
It's so difficult to make that prediction. There's just not a lot going their way. I mean, you look at the numbers here just in isolation on the graphic, right? Only one player, and it's Jittery on an equal 100 in terms of quote-unquote positive, or in his case, even EPS. Everyone else is performing below the expected standard at this particular level. So there's a world in which they could win it, and if they do, they're almost certainly locked in top 6. It's like an 80% chance of making it to the playoffs. But Fury, with so much international experience, and we've seen it before, South Asian teams sometimes against that level of opposition can just never find themselves in the game. We saw it last night in the Elevate matchup, for instance. And so for Knock Knock, if they're going to be a chance, they have to be the best version we've seen of them so far.
Well, you mentioned his name before, Jittery, 100 EPS, the only player to be hitting that average benchmark. He goes up against I9, Guz, which it's not a very favorable battle in that sense, but still, there is, I guess, some hope.
Yeah, the one stat that really stood out to me for both of these players, again, is cost. I feel like I've been talking about it a lot this stage, but it seems to be a pretty influential number and statistic for a lot of players. Cost, put simply, is impact in the round. If you're able to achieve something impactful, you get something towards the cost. That's the easiest way to explain it in 5 seconds. 54% and 56% are below the average for both of these players. Despite that, I9 is still edging out by a relatively significant margin, 106 to 100 EPS, and his KD is positive, whereas for Jittery, who's the top rated player, still going negative, not quite as influential as I9, and so it will be an intriguing matchup to watch these two go at it.
I think that there's enough context given just in this pre-show to really give anyone who's watching Asia for the first time the pre-warning that this will be a very difficult fight for Knock Knock. Fury, given all their players, when they turn up in the server on any given play day, it can look a little bit brutal. So I guess that's just something to look forward to. But realistically, this may well be Knock Knock's kind of... I mean, I was going to go and lean into their final chance to really, find any points, but, Jalita next week as well. It just doesn't bode very well for Knock Knock. Jake, do you think that we might as well see them in the, not in the, but out of the playoffs?
It's really difficult, and mainly because they're actually ahead on round differential to Daystar by only 4, but they're ahead of it. Both tied right now, so they're in the top 6. Daystar playing Hasib Warriors tonight, so they're actually going to need Hasib to do them a favor. But if Hasib do them a favor, then they're all tied on 3 points going into the final play day, so it makes it really difficult. At the end of the day, if you're Knock Knock, you've got to worry about yourself. You can't be worrying about other alternatives. They also play Jalita next week, which is not impossible. Like, if there's going to be a top 5 team right now that's not quite performing at the very best, it probably is Jalita. Do I see Knock Knock making top 6 though? Probably not, because I expect Daystar to win tonight, and then I'm expecting Knock Knock not quite to be able to get the job done. So I'd like to see them be competitive. I think Fury are just in a really good position though right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's, you know, they've got their 3 easiest games at the final 3 play days, one of which has played out, and this one right now, which, or it could be a quick one. Let's go to the vetoes. Let's figure out where and what map we're headed to. Anything but Chalet at this point, I am happy with. I don't care how stock standard it may be. I don't care how boring it may be. But Chalet's not in there. Chalet is well and truly gone. And, well, we're headed to Oregon. So maybe I've cursed myself there, guys. But at the very least, you know, we get a nice standard map for Knock Knock to try and have a crack on.
Yeah, I mean, we almost got Nighthaven Labs. Had that have been the case, we would have seen all 9 maps throughout the stage. That isn't the case, unfortunately, as we do go to Oregon. It's a map that, as we always say, it favors fundamentals, teams that know what they're doing in terms of having their roles set, having that innate synergy. It all really gets either shone with a positive light on this map, or you get exposed as being a bit of a fraud team that doesn't understand the map very well. So we'll see which team lands in what column for this particular matchup. As mentioned, there is a world, I think, in which Knock Knock, if they get off to a good start, they have to start well, they can mount pressure. Fury know that this is an important match for them, albeit one that they're favored in. But for Fury, as mentioned, fall back on your fundamentals, trust your systems. You've played this map so many times against so many different levels of competition. You shouldn't be having problems in this game.
Well, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Saddle up, because we're headed to Oregon.
Thank you very much, Rob and the guys on the desk. Mandy, this is another big versus little match. Another David and Goliath, a phrase that we say a lot in the Asia League. But in reality, there are 5 teams in this league that can realistically battle out for those top spaces, and then the bottom 3 have been really struggling. Knock Knock, very much one of those teams. Now, they have found a win, but it is against the currently winless Hasib Warriors. This is going to be a huge task ahead for Knock Knock. Last play day, Fury took down Daystar 7-1. They also had a 7-0 over Elevate the week prior, and so Knock Knock really have their work cut out for them.
I would have to agree with that. I think this is going to be a very challenging match for Knock Knock, especially against the Fury, who I think as the days have gone by look pretty in form. Perhaps more in form than they did at the beginning of Stage 1. And I feel like that's sort of the case for a lot of these Asia teams at the moment. Dev, I don't know how much you would agree with that, but it feels like at the start everyone was kind of like really warming up into it, but now that we're in these last couple play days and going into playoffs, everyone looks like now super serious, like real game faces on, they're really into it. And you know what, for Knock Knock to face these guys so late into the season, they've got a lot to destroy here.
They really do, yeah. Fury started quite slow this stage. They lost their first 2 games, Jolita and Bleed. The Jolita one, bit of an unusual one, Bleed not so much. But yeah, since then, they've actually only dropped 6 rounds in 3 matches. That's a plus 15 round differential in their last 3 games, beating Elevate 7-0, Direwolf 7-5, and Daystar 7-1. And yeah, for Knock Knock on the other hand, like I said, like they started really, really slow as well, losing their first game to Elevate 7-1, losing to Daystar 7-4, and realistically, Daystar is the team that Knock Knock should be trying to get points off of. So quite disappointing for them to not make that happen. But any points they can get out of this game would be massive. Of course, Knock Knock fighting to stay in the top 6, and Daystar likely to be the team to jump ahead of them potentially, as Daystar do play Hasib Warriors up next, and if they win that game, then Knock Knock's chance of making playoffs have basically gone down to 0 unless they win this match. Fury, on the other hand, top 2 is looking quite unlikely at this juncture, but you never know what can happen. These guys having a good performance here, and next play day, maybe that does open the door for them to jump up and skip into a semi-final position. We'll have to wait and see, but of course it starts right here on Oregon, a match that we haven't seen Knock Knock play since the very first play day. Same for Fury. Both of them lost their Oregon games at the start of the stage. So for one of these teams, unfortunately, that's going to be 2 for 2, but for the other, they'll thankfully right the wrongs that they made early on in the stage.
Wall secured.
Well. At this point, if we're going to make top 6, it's like... there's not really a good side of the bracket anymore, Dev. At first we were saying, like, if you're not on the Bleed side of the bracket, then you're chilling. Absolutely not anymore. If you're on the Elevate side of the bracket, you are still not chilling. It don't matter. So for Fury, yes, they have locked in top 6, but where they place at this stage, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be an uphill battle for these guys. Now, starting out on the attack as well on Oregon, is part of that uphill battle as well. Knock Knock are going to start out on the defense. Not only that, but they're going to go down to the basement as well. Often a very difficult bomb site to crack open. But Fury have got a pretty interesting lineup to try and counter some of these problems. Not only has Lycolis jumped on to the Monty, but there's a lot of your good fun operators. Of course, you've got your Grim, which has been pretty popular these days, aided by the Dokkaebi as well. So look for something fairly explosive by the time that they hit the bomb site. You're going to have the Dokkaebi calls ringing out. You're going to pinged by bees. You've got 3 sets of flashbangs and smokes. If they can save all of that for the execute, it's going to be pretty hectic by the time it hits the late round.
Retro, I believe the first logic bomb's gone out. Ooh, I9. Sandy's actually playing in Sapper spot at the bottom of the laundry stairs, popularized by Sapper himself on Julita. Back when he was on Elevate, he was so good at holding the bottom of these stairs with smoke. He would burn so much time. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how good he is at holding this position. I think, yeah, he's been droned now. How aggressively is he going to play it? Okay, his hatch has actually already been opened. Envy on a pre-fire. That's beautiful. I really like that. He takes a lot of damage, but he does get that pick. Now, Sandy is still in this aggressive position, and he's survived the first flash.
Second flash is going to sail on through, and that's really going to dwindle away at some of that enabling utility for the attack come the late round. I9 is going to hold on to this position, anticipating that the aggression might come through from Sandy, but it actually comes through on the other way. Critche is going to drop down the hatch and take him out.
Unfortunate for Sandy, he wasn't able to utilize all of his smokes to burn that timeout. Oh, this is beautiful from Beat. Well done, that mirror window enabling that C4. Fury looked like they dealt with that bottom stairs hold nicely, but yeah, now not so much. Lycolis is dealing with a double push up the stairs. BG Man needs to come and support, and he will get a free kill. Lycolis takes down Rattler. Knock Knock had the advantage, 4v3, and now it's turned on its head. An ill-advised play and desperation from Envy leaves Beats in a 1 versus 3. Flashed on out, Lycolis with the shield and Diffuser in pocket. Plant likely to go out shortly. Actually, no, they're not even going to try and plant. They're going to try and hunt, and that will be a very solid opening round from Fury. There was a moment there where Knock Knock looked like the better team, but Fury styled on them by the end of it.
That was a peculiar play up the tower stairs, to put it politely. I could see the idea that they were trying to go for to isolate the Monty. They thought he was all on his own, so they sent the 2 barrels out, slow him down, make sure the other attackers couldn't cover them. But what they didn't realize is that BG Man was right around the corner when they were trying to go for that play. Not only that, but Lycolis managed to knife one of them anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, I think Knock Knock, even though they were in an advantageous position, deciding to go for that play midway through the rounds, probably throwing that round away to Fury.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you talk about basement when you've got a man advantage. Like, there's almost no way that you lose a basement man advantage by playing passive because the crossfires are just so strong. Also, there were plenty of Vulcan canisters and other bits of util. Yeah, it's just a kind of classic don't take risks when you're in the advantage, right? Like, when you're in the disadvantage, that's when you should take the risk.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you really want to break it down, like you can see Knock Knock had a cool idea with the Tubarão. They were placing it in the tower stairs where they thought a player might try and support the Monty from, but it's not a brick wall. It slows him down slightly, and he can always shoot it and then peek. And yeah, the shield rework means that Lycolis is actually not too stressed out about being in that 2v1 as well. Like, it's really hard to 2v1 a Monty with that much claustrophobia. Yeah. A lot of things went wrong there, Mandy. I'm gonna be honest, like, that's a shame, because Knock Knock had a pretty solid start.
Yes, that is unfortunately waving some quite big red flags, unfortunately, for Knock Knock. But alas, they've decided, alright, the basement isn't such a fun place to be, and they're going to go up to the top floor instead. For Fury, on the side of the attack, they look like they're leading into trying to take Master early on. Not only that, but it looks like the roam was going to come in through the basement. Instead, Jittery is going to take down the drone from there, so never mind. I've completely changed my mind based off the fact that they looked like they were going to do Master, and they decided to change their mind, go small tower instead, shape up for an execute round this side. So Dark's going to get on this Kit Repel, try and cut some players off. Not only that, yeah, I think you're right. He's actually baiting Sandy. They must know that he's somewhere in the ground floor. The bees are going to go up. Surely that cutoff's going to come through. Oh, it doesn't.
I9 is right there as well. He should be able to get this refrag. No, Sandy actually gets away in time. So funny there with Dark. He was baiting that push in from Sandy, but he actually stopped baiting at the worst possible moment. Oh, info for I9, but not the kill. Jittery gets him. Nice ideas here from Fury, but Knock Knock have done a really good job on this roam game of hunting down two of these playmaking players from Fury. And now the Thai team looks to get a little bit desperate.
Critchay going down as well will put Fury in a bit of a pickle now on the attack. 5 versus 2 is a pretty significant advantage to Knock Knock in this scenario. Not only that, but they haven't really been able to enter into the building at this point. Like Hollis and BG Man just going to hang out outside of the building, see what they can get, see if they can punish any Knock Knock players from doing something too over-aggressive, but it doesn't look like Knock Knock are going to make the same mistake as the last round.
It's a good move. Hope they've learnt their lesson. On this bomb site, it's a little bit more achievable to win from a numbers deficit as an attacker, but yeah, not when you got good swings like that. Big round from Jittery. That's 3 for him. Ooh, player spotted, 2 players spotted. A flawless round at the end of it for Knock Knock. A nice little recovery there. After fumbling the first round, they're looking very strong in the second.
Yeah, that was a really solid one there. It was very much won out in the early rounds when Fury tried to go for a direct in through the double window straight onto Bunk. But that was completely shut down by Knock Knock on the roam from the ground floor, shutting down the rappels. I9 as well, looking to play the buck from down below. Jittery collected his life as well and managed to get one to BG Man as well. So very much the round was played out on that ground floor. The 2 players on the top floor were just left all to their lonesome. Knock Knock went out the round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I really feel like this should be pretty solid defense of the basement, right? Like, I don't know, they looked pretty good last time.
It
I think
should
that
be.
Yeah.
It should
Yeah, a couple of things went poorly for Fury. Like, I think they lost a player they probably didn't need to in Freezer, right? Like a player just hiding behind a box when there's a mirror window facing him. Like, that's a really easy C4 for beat. But I would like to see Sandy have a little bit more success on his hold of the stairs. Like, Envy got that aggressive pick through the hatch last time, and that's probably not going to work again. So I think that does put a little bit more pressure on Sandy to perform in his role at the bottom of the Freezer stairs.
Attackers are moving out to
On the
locate a
side of
bomb and
Fury,
defuse it.
I think they have realised that Tubarão and Cade is a thing that exists on the defense of Knock Knock, and so they've decided to go and repick off onto the Maverick, which I think is probably a good solution to the problem that they faced beforehand, especially if they want to go for something like a back take a bit later on. Last time around, they went and did something around Freezer, around front side. It looked a little bit scary, especially when Sandy's being super aggressive at the bottom of Freezer stairs. This time around, we'll have to see what options they assess. Now, there is actually a player all the way in T3 for the side of Knock Knock, and I think a drone just has been sent in as well. That's Envy from Fury. So they probably know he's here by now. Are they going to clear him out or not?
Good question. I'm pretty sure they know he's here because, yeah, they had a drone in there when that logic bomb went off, so they'll 100% know that he's in here. He thinks someone's rappelling on the top side, and he's waiting for that sound cue to take him on out. Critchay's actually gone to the opposite window. He is going to flash him, so we've got several players here, but Envy finds Critchay, and almost trade comes out. Bit of damage done eventually. The kill is all but confirmed. But yeah, losing Critchay is a bit of a shame here for Fury. They realistically, 2v1ing, 3v1ing that, they should have found that kill without losing a player.
It's not just that, but it's also the time sink as well, right? On this basement bomb site, you really want as much redundancy in the time as you can, right? By the time you actually translate that push from the ground floor into the basement, you want time to, well, wiggle room, so that you can sit around on the basement, see what picks you've got, reassess, play the situation better, right? Only a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, and they haven't even worked any of the hatches yet, let alone know whether the ground floor is clear or not. Dark is still droning out the entire ground floor. BG Man's finally making his way over to the electrical hatch, but really, that was a massive time sink in Big Tower, despite Envy losing his life.
So they've got to make up for it, being quick elsewhere, and the Maverick is very rarely a quick solution here. As we see, BG Man, a bit of a yelp comes out as he can't even manage to get this hatch without taking a bit of damage from the electrification. A little bit more of the hatch to go, and there you go, finally electrical's open, 50 seconds to play. Lycolis is going to be instrumental here in taking this map control. He's actually tempted to aim down sights. You see the way he's tempted to play this. He has locked out a lot of good control, and Dark's Bees come in from the Grim to help with that as well.
Oh, the Bees have actually made this defense really passive now. Really, the only person that's facing the onslaught of the attack at this point is Beat, right? And I guess Sandy from this line of sight from the rotation hole, right? But these two players from Freezer look pretty, like, distracted. Like, Colossus might be able to get the plant down here.
Nice little line of sight with the Maverick. A good smoke grenade to block up that position. However, numbers fall in the favor of Knock Knock, and that may force Fury here to make plays as the gas and the fire stunt out this defense. Lycolis starts to force his plant down. Oh, great cover from Fury. The C4 misses. That needed to land for this round to go in the favor of defense. Oh, BG, man, just farm them through the Maverick hole. Beautiful round from Fury, fighting from a player down. They get it done in the 3v4.
Yeah, I think ultimately there for Knock Knock, their attention ended up being a bit divided once the execute came through. They looked pretty wary of Dark, who started coming down Freezer on his own with the bees. And I think that ultimately allowed Lycolis a lot of space to make his way on into the bomb site and work the objective. You pointed out pretty well, that C4, that was the one thing that could have denied the plant from going down in that scenario. Didn't sink either from Beat. And from there on out, BG Man just had the right line of sight to lock them out because of how passive they had been playing a little earlier on in that execute. So yeah, I think Knock Knock probably not being brave enough on that basement bomb site when there are a lot of really strong power positions that you should be able to hold on to for a little bit more time and for a little bit longer, especially when an electrical hatch or a back take is coming through. You really want to be holding on to Pillar for a little bit longer, and I think Knock Knock probably just gave Fury a little bit too much room to work with there.
Thank you very much. Now, Mandy, what is Guz and Xenox's favorite thing to say on Oregon?
Something about kids and dorms, but it's actually not
something
kids and dorms.
I no. Bear with me here. So they're like
Okay.
the philosophy
Okay,
here
I
is
see.
like basement's a free defense win. The tertiary sites are a free attack win. So kids and
Yes.
dorms is where like the map is really determined. That's 2 attacks that Fury have gone onto the basement, and both of them, Knock Knock had the opening pick and Fury converted a 3 versus 4. So I'm seeing nothing but red flags for Knock Knock on the basement, even though they have some nice things. Like, it's just way too many red flags. Fury clearly very good at attacking that bomb site. And so this is a risk. Like, that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, Mandy. Like, they've gone meeting and kitchen, Knock Knock have, which is a huge risk. Like, picking a tertiary bomb site instead of going to what should be that free win bomb site after 2 attempts. It does show a little bit of desperation out of Knock Knock. They really need to nail this one home. Otherwise, I just can't see Knock Knock winning this half.
I'm thinking back a bit to what Gus said on the desk as well about Oregon. Right, yes, Oregon is one of those like tried and tested type of maps, but it also can expose a lot of weakness in the way that you play at your defenses because it's one of those maps that should be fairly straightforward with the way you defend it, and I think it's being very much shown for Knock Knock here at the moment. They probably need to go back to the drawing board a little bit with the way that they're conducting themselves in these defenses. Okay, so here's i9, who's really aggressive up through green, picking his way straight into kitchen. I think he knows that there's a player there, Rattler on the other side. Not only that, but the wall has been opened up pretty quickly as well. So Critchay is going to get that early control,
Okay.
takes the pistol out, and will take down Jittery.
Okay.
It's all going the way of Fury so far.
Sandy has made his way back into T1, but he's been taken out. Envy, the last player, and he must 1v5 from upstairs in kids' dorms. Now, there is a player watching for him, Dark, upstairs. Envy might be able to drop here. Very nice. He tries to cover it with the sound of his SMG, but he doesn't really know where this plant's going down. And he's realistically got 2 shields facing him. Now, that goo mine could actually kill Critchay. He has to be very careful not to stand on it, otherwise he will be instantly downed as Envy is locked in place. The round is all but over, and no impacts as well to play with for Envy, but he's going to give it a shot, and I respect that, but he will be taken out on the long angle. The most dominant round we've seen from Fury as of yet, as they find their 3rd attack on Oregon. Things do not look great for Knock Knock.
Yeah, sure. I think Fury identified pretty quickly a weakness in Big Tower. Not only that, but Lycolis instantly entering into the bomb site the moment that the wall had been opened up. Somehow managing to get the pistol out and take someone down in meeting. I think just, you know, once again, a bit of red flags there for Knock Knock. They just were not ready for that, despite them actually anchoring on the bomb site itself. I think, yeah, more proactiveness in the cell is probably what they're looking for here. Just keeping an eye on Fury, entering into the building and getting things done really quickly. The last time that we saw Knock Knock had, well, in my opinion, a bit more success is actually when they're playing that game that's a little bit more frontline. You know, like Envy over in T3, holding on for a little bit longer, wasting more time. I think in the last few rounds, they've really regressed into this passive game. And yeah, I think it's allowed Fury a lot of space.
Yeah, and now with that, tactical timeout has been called by Knock Knock. They've had a chance to talk through things. Thing is, Manny, like, they won Dorms already, and now Dorms is unlocked. Again, they can go back to it I don't know about this tactical timeout. Like, it's really got to have an impact here, because if they lose this round, that's just, I don't think there's any coming back from that. Like, they've just lost on the back of their tactical timeout and on the one bomb site that they've actually had success on so far. So the stakes have really ramped up here for Knock Knock. They've already kind of failed the pass mark for defense on Oregon. If they can salvage it, if they win the next 2, then momentum will be back on their favor. They just need 3 attacks in order to guarantee at least 1 point and push overtime. But yeah, should they lose this round, I hate to say it, but that could be the game.
Wow, that's a pretty early call there, hey? But I feel like I would agree with you as well. For Knock Knock, they look like they're a bit nervous, I think, at the moment in the server, just the way that they're playing. And I think taking this tactical timeout to recompose and just say, yeah, they need to actually take the fight to Fury is pretty important here. Now, last time we saw Knock Knock win out this defense was because they were unafraid to take those fights, and they looked really confident, especially on their roam in the basement in the ground floor from Jittery. I think if they can bring that same confidence against Fury and actually take the fight to them, this could be a pretty important round for them.
I like this Deimos pick here, Mandy. Don't see a lot of it. Every now and then we see him sneak in. Dark's gone for it. He's currently checking Jittery, and remember the last time this bomb site was picked, Jittery went absolutely gnarly. Like, he got, I think, 3 or 4 kills by the end of it. I wondered whether Fury would try and hunt down these roamers that were a nuisance to them last time, or whether they would just ignore them. And it seems like they're very, very excitedly pushing them, and I9 on the buck is going to try and find some vertical game as well. Oh, he's got info here on that player. I think that was from Grimm's Bees. Oh, there you go. Dark does get the wall bang onto Jittery as well. The Deimos ends up having an impact. Now Fury are in such a strong position. My God, what an attack. The vertical game is non-stop. Dark running out of bullets. He can't quite land the shots he needs with the revolver. And a 4v4 post plant, but Dark is managing to continue his form from down below. Like Hollis is in the building and he's tearing heads off. It's all up to, well, just Envy now in a 1v3 with 1 player down. BG Man locks him out of it. And I gotta say, Fury, they are dominating at the moment. This is an absolute shellacking here on Oregon. 4-1 in favor of the attack as Fury show no signs of letting up.
That was a pretty fun attack as well from Fury. We've seen them try a couple times the Deimos Buck combination to clear out the ground floor and then make use of the vertical. Hasn't always worked out, but it did that time around against Knock Knock. Not only that, but in tandem with the execute that came through from the combination of the Grim as well, all the way in the top floor. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting roam clear. Jittery, I think, got a bit brave, looking to get the wallbang in through meeting, especially when there's an active ping on him from Deathmark. And from there, it kind of really spiraled out of control. We were watching I9 for most of that round, just wreak havoc from down below with the back of all that info, not just from the Deimos, but from the Bees as well. He knew exactly where all these defenders were on the top floor, and he was just making them real round at the bomb site, really, and that forced them into the hands of BG Man, who found so many on the cutoff of double window. Fury with a pretty interesting attack that Knock Knock were not ready for.
Yeah. Well, Mandy, is third time the charm? Is third time down in the basement the charm?
Should be, I think.
Yeah.
It should
Both
be.
times they got the opening pick. Both times they had a 3 versus 4 man advantage.
Objective is to locate a
Both
bomb
times they fumbled it in a fairly convincing manner.
I think that if they play the basement how the basement should be played, then they might win.
Okay.
That's very. I'm sorry. My analysis is just gone out. Like,
That is
I've got a
deep,
real.
bro.
Yeah, I've got a real like
Deep.
Will Buxton mode here. You know.
The
Yeah.
team to get to 7 rounds first will win the match.
Will win the match. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I think Knock Knock are probably not leaning into the strength of this basement bomb site as much as it on paper should be played out. And I think it's coming to bite them back a little bit. So I think if they pull it together and they're in their power positions, should be able to take a more competitive round against Fury.
Have they locked in all 5 on site? I'm pretty sure they have at
I
this
think
rate.
so.
It looks like I9 here at the bottom of White Stairs is actually trying to bait someone into going for a flank through Z, and he's just like waiting for a sound call here.
Are they really pushing
yeah,
this
here's-
Monty again? Oh, okay.
All 5 on site. Yeah, Envy was briefly, but as we know, it's quite an objectively bad decision to do so, especially with Lycolis being quite self-sufficient. He just wants to check, is there anyone in Harry Potter underneath him? He can't quite confirm that. There's a good crossfire on him, so he's essentially trapped for now. He should be able to get someone to come and destroy this Banshee. Meanwhile, Dark's opening that meeting hatch, and Fury have made pretty solid progress.
Yeah, this is looking good so far. So the 2-Brow has been forfeited out of this lineup. And so is the Cade as well. So instead, they've just leaned into comfort
Ooh.
picks, have their gun up instead. You've got Malusi, you've got Warden on the board. So come the execute phase, I'm expecting more of Knock Knock to look a bit more confident and aggressive in these fights. Now, Envy staying around this Pills position already, for me, is like a bit more green flags. Not just that, but in general, these guys look a little bit more ready this time around for the execute.
Here comes the fire. Like that reinforcement, it does lock Fury out of the bomb site. It locks them from these deeper angles. Critche has such a pivotal role now. As I9 goes for a backstab, he does find the opening pick. Very wide swing there from Rattler, loses his life. While Critche's gone down, that was the player in elbow, so it might mean that Fury have lost control of blue. They have found a breach onto the bomb site. Now, what kind of plan denial remains? Sandy still has 2 gas bays, but I9 continues to be swung and keeps bringing the numbers back in Fury's favor. Now, that gas will lock out the default plan spot, but Lycolis can still go deep for it. And with BG finding another pick, that might enable it. Sandy's taken out of the game. Another big pick for I9. They all fall one by one. Fury collapse on the site. Third time is not the charm. 5-1 on their attack. These guys are simply unstoppable.
Man, Grim has been a big thing in this game, hey? Like, that is a pretty scary sight to see, I think, if you're Knock Knock on the defense. You've got all these Bs basically cutting the bomb site in half from the lines of sight that you're trying to take these fights from. And you've got a Fury player essentially, like, holding down these, like, runways of cutoffs, essentially, on the attack. It's I9 that we were spectating for the most part of that, all the way in Freezer. But even then, there was BG Man who was, you know, inside of elbow, playing that line of sight too, holding the crossfire onto the players inside of Freezer, on rotate as well. So Fury very much, with the combination of the intel and these great lines of sight that they poise themselves into, just, I don't know, they just completely shut down Knock Knock from being able to choose the fights that they decided to take. And I would say for Knock Knock, yeah, probably getting a bit over-aggressive in some of those fights as well. I mean, what was Rattler doing? Going for the squad swing against I9 first of all. And yeah, I think...
He's like, I've got ACOG, I can beat this guy.
Yeah, he's just going
Can't
for
beat
it,
that guy.
apparently. Yeah, no, you cannot. Very peculiar game of Rainbow Six Dev. I think Fury look pretty confident in their element right now and going to the basement of defense themselves. It should be a pretty simple lockout from here.
Very much. Well, defense is really quite favoured, and this bomb site should be fairly straightforward here for BG Man. Good information for Envy. Actually, not much util in elbow there for Fury. Does not look to make a bit of a roam clear happen. Poor Rattler is quite a strong fragger typically, but he's only got the 1 so far, and he's died every round. His team has lost. Lycolis finds the opening onto Envy, and I9 solo roaming. Yeah, this is a bit of a massacre. I hate to put it bluntly, but Knock Knock simply 3 isolated 1v1s. Lycolis is playing aggressive. What's this man been eating? Like, this guy used to be the support player for
God.
Fury, and ever since there was that game where they had to get a sub in, he has just been on another level. I guarantee they won't drone him here.
I don't think they will. Oh, yeah, no, they've seen him. They've seen him. They know he's there, but do they know that he's gone through the rotate? I don't think so. Not only that, but I9 is here to try and help Lycolis out too. So even if they did try an entry into lobby here, I9 in 3, 2, 1 is going to get a kill. And there he is. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. He's beats him up with the vertical and has taken down Lycolis regardless. So at least something has gone their way.
No, BG Man's going to kill him. Oh, that was so close.
God.
It was really cheeky from BG Man. He was in He's actually still got an angle for it. Oh no. Beat takes a chunk of HP.
Do it. Peek again.
Yeah. At this rate, like 3v1. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Fury go hunting. It's such a shame for Knock Knock. This has been a really trying stage for them. Of course, they are the best team from South Asia. 4 Indian players and 1 Pakistani player, but they really can't do anything against a team at the caliber of Fury. 1 round is all they've found so far, and Fury have quite easily cruised onto match point.
Yeah, this should be a pretty simple lockout from here on out for Fury. I think the last round of defense is pretty telling. Essentially, none of that defensive basement actually got played out in the basement. The entirety of the round was played out in the ground floor and the top floor. And I think that is to show for Fury's confidence at the moment in the server. They are looking good with it at the moment, feeling confident to take the fights that they would like to take, and are just running away with this one. Absolutely. Knock Knock barely look like they're in the server right now.
Yeah. Very much. All right. Last ditch effort now for Knock Knock to try and make a comeback happen. Let's switch the focus over to Fury for a brief moment. Like 10-2 on I9. He's getting a lot of confidence. And if you think about Fury's stage, right, they started, things were really hard. Their first match was against Jolita, the second match was against Bleed. It doesn't get much harder than that. They also then played Elevate, which funnily enough they won in a very convincing fashion. But you know, Jolita, Bleed, Elevate in the first 3 games. They're definitely like the strongest teams in this league alongside Fury.
Yep.
And then they kind of had the easiest games. It's almost like, with the exception of Jolita being first, I actually think Fury had their games in like hardest to easiest. Because I actually think Fury playing Knock Knock next week, Fury playing Hasib Warriors next week, could well be even more dominant than this. Now, Sandy has already been spawn peaked, and Fury are really just asserting their dominance here. Like, what, 3-4 players spawn peaking. Knock Knock doing their best to get out of the spawn and actually towards the building.
Yeah, so Sandy has gone out early, and Envy is going to join his teammate in the grave as well. BG Man looking pretty confident here. Inside of Closet will continue to peek ACOG in hand. He's 10-1, by the way. This man, he's just been absolutely fragging out this game. Beat is going to sit outside the building because he knows that Fury looking to get aggressive. And he would be right.
Do you reckon I9's got the wife buff? Like, ever since he got married,
True.
I reckon he has, like, turned it up a notch.
True. Definitely. I'm a believer in wife buff. Oh! Good night.
Sheesh, that was...
See ya.
That was nice. BG Man, yeah. BG Man's, he's gone for the round.
Oh,
It's
that's
competition
funny.
between him and I9 on
It
who
is.
can frag out
It
the
really
most.
is.
Both 10-2.
Well, if I9 dies here, then BG Man will have won. But if I9 gets kills here, BG Man will lose.
Very true.
Yeah. Really leaning into the Will Boston stuff here today, aren't we? So Dark
I
is
love
going
it.
to add to the kill count onto Rattler as well. And yeah, Jittery and Beat don't have a lot going for them here. R9 could potentially be flanking them here. And there's a player around the corner in Attic. It's looking pretty grim. He's
Yes,
gonna do it.
I9, come on. Skill
gonna
number
do it.
11. Oh man, you do
Oh
not have
dear.
enough bullets in that thing. Dark gets both of them. Fury looking absolutely elated. They cannot believe they have just won that game. No, I mean 7-1. Everyone saw that coming. Fury
BG
not
Man
at
looks
least
so bored,
surprised.
man.
They did their
Oh,
best, and their
God.
best is just so far ahead of Knock Knock, it's not even funny. Knock Knock tried so hard, but at the end of the day, Fury are one of the best teams in this league for a very good reason. They've come back into form, and they are now undefeated 4 games in a row, likely to make it 5 next week when they face Hasib Warriors. A fantastic game for Fury, and everything going according to plan as we toss it back over to the desk.
Yeah. Did I catch it all right? It's an interesting night. I think that's a very I don't know. How do I make this sound good, Guz? How do I spin a yarn?
Here you go. Well, fun fact. So
Please.
Fury 7-1 means they get a +6 round diff. that means that they're now equal highest in the league with Elevate. So look, if there's any positive storyline out of this, it's that. And considering that they're also in the final play day, then going to take on Hesib Warriors, there's every world in which they walk away with the highest round diff in the league. And that could potentially come into play with a head-to-head maybe, outside chance. But yeah, outside of that, there's really not much more to comment on in terms of the game itself. Just completely dominant and defensively just locking out their opposition from the map entirely. So there's really not a whole lot to break down.
Jake, it's very tough to watch these matches and find positives, find the silver lining. So maybe we can just talk about Fury and probably, I guess, their lead into playoffs. I think it was you that made the comment that, you know, they're coming into their final form. You know, they're reaching their peak at the moment for stage one. They're doing it at the right time.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're in a position now where, provided they win their last game, is that going to be like 4 in a row or 5 in a row? I've lost count, honestly. Yeah, because they dropped their opening 2. So now it's 4 in a row. If they win next week, then that's 5 in a row going into playoffs, which is really all you can only play the schedule that's in front of you. You play the tough teams first, okay, whatever. And their 7-0 over Elevate suddenly looks incredible considering Elevate are at top of the standings, which is insane in itself. So they're in a good position. They're certainly going to be a factor in terms of top 3. I don't see a world in which they drop out of top 3 from here. It'll be very strange. Fury, of course, take on Hesib Warriors, by the way, for those unfamiliar, in the final week. And I would imagine they will do to them what they've just done to Knock Knock.
What is that, Jake? What are they? I'm not going to let you answer that one. We got Lycolis on the line. Let's welcome Lycolis in once again. My friend, welcome back. I mean, I'm just going to make it very simple. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's very good. Right now I don't really feel any pressure at all. I don't feel like I have been playing.
Lycolis, I kind of want to ask. I mean, this is going to sound really bad. I want to ask a question that doesn't even relate to you or this game. But what are your thoughts on the Bleed loss today and what that means for playoffs?
Well, if we don't think too much, maybe Bleed just like when they're playing like shield game, you know, either win or lose is fine for them. They're probably gonna be 1 or 2, doesn't matter to them. They just have to win. That's just like what Minter said yesterday. So they probably doesn't care if they like first or second. Yeah, or maybe if I like overthink, maybe they want to beat us before we went to the grand final, maybe. Because I believe
Maybe.
if we Bleed second place, we're gonna have to face him on the quarterfinal. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it does rely on your next game, South Asia again. Do you go in with the mindset and the plan that you're just going to go in, smash them, get the job done, and get that round differential really high?
Yeah, that's correct. We're probably not gonna overthink on any strategy. We're just gonna play our game and smash them.
Oh, God. It's so good to hear that from you, Lycolis. You know, back in the day, you were always very, very proper. Now we're hearing you want to smash teams. That's what I like to hear. Look, obviously, it's been, you know, a bit of an interesting stage for you guys. It was a little bit of a disappointing start, but things have gotten back on track now. So it's we've been talking about it on the desk. It seems like you guys are starting to peak as you head into playoffs, which is that's a terrifying prospect for the rest of the teams. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we let you go?
I think this playoff could be all like maybe best performance we could do, because the good news is we're probably gonna do a boot camp before the playoff, so we're probably gonna play together when the event playoff start. So I believe this could be the best of like ever playoff that we could like perform in the best condition environment. Yeah, so we hope to show you a good result.
Oh, that's so exciting to hear. I'm so happy. That's what you were trying to say yesterday, but it kept cutting out for us. So very good to hear from you, Lycolis. We wish you nothing but luck. I'm not even going to say in next week's game, just in the playoffs, mate. We wish you nothing but luck.
Yeah.